Huge day. It's Architects Day. The brand new record was just released. We had a good time. Don't ask questions of why I look like this. It is what it is. Sam, please don't watch this. I'm sorry. I love you, bro. We're doing an on-the-spot album review. We just listened to the entire album, The Sky, The Earth, and all between. And we're gonna go song by song while I am very in a good vibe right now. Mio Dios. This is the video for tomorrow. And the words I say are the words that are gonna be posted. Caleb, please don't get me canceled. What? It's the words of the future. Nossa. This track, starting from the very intense, kind of dark, subtle production here, where you hear Jordan instantly kind of play a huge role with Architects. However, with that influence, you start to hear instantly some kind of heavy Architects, which I like that they use this as a precursor for the record. And Elegy, again, being that opener, I think kind of sets the stage very, very nicely for the rest of the track. Now, whip rest of the album, Limau. Like, starting with the very beginning of just fucking move. This is a big, almost mosh call kind of track. Of course, it has this big chorus, but it just has this very raw big Mick Gordon vibe. Let's get right into it. Let's not beat around the bush. Daddy Mick Gordon is hanging out. It's got that jaunty, low-tuned riff kind of vibe. And it has a lot of cool call-outs. It has a really cool bridge breakdown moment. And then the ending, too, has this slow-down breakdown. It just kind of keeps you happy, keeps you excited. This was one of the singles. It was quite enjoyable. I really don't have any complaints about the song. I think this was a great song. The video, too, they went all out. I liked seeing Sam in a car. Apparently, he gets car sick really easily, and he didn't vomit. I'm gonna be super real with Black Hole. This is probably one of the best tracks on the record. I think this is the best single, actually, besides Brain Dead mixed in and Seeing Red, where they blend the perfect architect structure of modern metalcore. You get a lot of the like that metalcore kind of bursty with a really nice big chorus. I think also particularly of this song, they went all out with the video, which definitely adds a lot of value to the actual track and that kind of just whole out experience. I feel like without the video, the track still would be a pretty good, solid banger, but the video really adds a lot of value to this track. And I'm kind of glad they went all out with this track with like people being sucked into the sky and like wind is a bitch, dude. I live in Florida. F you, wind. And if it don't feel this is kind of the first break of the album when it's like basically like a really chill poppy type track. Poppy not intended. We're not Courtney LaPlante at the Grammys right here. Where it's definitely a more laid back track when it comes to being more production focused and Sam focused. Of course, Sam I think really is the shining moment on most of this record. There are really cool riffs, there are really cool drums, but it really does come down to I think Sam's vocal moments. And I think everything ends is in the album's perspective, you know, when you actually have the context of the entire record, everything ends is a really good track that kind of just comes after these heavier tracks and more energetic tracks. As a single, I would say one of the weaker singles just because the energy level was a little bit just like there. It felt like an album track, and that's not to necessarily diminish the value of the track or make it seem like it's a poorly produced or poorly created track. It was just kind of like a little bit boring in a sense of like if you're looking for more high energy stuff and you're just like, okay, everything ends, it has a good chorus, it has really good production, but it's not going to be one of those high energy tracks that kind of the rest of the singles have led you to kind of be excited for. It's definitely an album track, and on the album it makes sense where it is. As a single it was a little confusing, but again, listening to the album it makes a lot more sense. This is such a cool fucking banger because it has this high energy punk hardcore vibe, which Architects, you know, you could always kind of pull off, especially being British, bruv. It's a track that really pulls out this extreme. Honestly, this is probably the highest energy track on the entire record. It's not the heaviest track on the entire record, where the verses are just like boom, boom, and it has this really cool drum moments. It even has a boonta beat at one moment. I think this is actually going to be the most hyped song on the record when it comes to playing live. Besides maybe Seeing Red, just because that's such like a classic metalcore, like how to metalcore in 3 minutes banger. And House of Protection, the feature as well as the production tied into the entire song, is so fucking well done that I gotta give Architects really big credit for kind of tying this hardcore punk, modern metal, new metal thing into one song, because usually bands kind of pick one of those lanes. They just threw it all together and they made it work, and I gotta give them a lot of credit for it. This is a cool track, and huge Deftone vibes, as someone said in chat. And that's not necessarily Deftones. I think a lot of people equate like ambience to Deftones, but definitely the chorus is this much more like ambient vibe, which is not something I've ever really heard from Architects, and Sam experiment with this more larger, huge reverb kind of soundscapey sound when it comes to that chorus. The riff is definitely a bit more like basic bitch Mick Gordon to kind of be a bit more frank. However, it's nice. It does its job, but the chorus is really the shining point of this. And I got to give a lot of credit to the chorus of this track, because the verses are a bit more like, okay, like we've heard the verses a bit in Whiplash and Black Hole. Like they get a little redundant after a while on the album, even though they're cool verses, you know, the Mick Gordon low tune, like jaunty riffs. Chat, by the way, do you like how, dude, I am so good at fucking album reviews when I'm wasted. It is actually, can we get some claps for me? I am so zoned in. Dude, I'm gonna win a Fortnite game. Can I, wait, let me download Fortnite. What is it, Epic Games? Epic Games. This is a song where, dude, when it comes to landmines, this is a track, again, this is where, as much as I love the doomy type riffage with Architects, it does get a little redundant when it comes to the whole record. I wish there was a bit more variety when it comes to the type of riffage, at least. However, every chorus is ace, and this is no exception when it comes to landmines. The landmines chorus is absolutely massive. The bridge is really cool too, because it utilizes a bit more synths, and also in terms of like the more modern metalcore era where everyone's using like the very like Architects 100% use that in this track and kind of go all out with that synthwave vibe with this. And like, yeah, there's some cool doom riffs, but nothing super crazy. Very good chorus. Judgment Day? This bitch is the best song on the record. I don't even care. This is better than Seeing Red. This is such a vibe track that does actually have a bit of that like synthwave vibe and like a bit more of that ramp sound, like dun 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 dun. You know, 4 on the floor with a big Omega kind of like semi-chuggy riff. However, the feature on here, Amiria, which I haven't really heard much of them before, absolutely crushes it with Sam's voice. And this is just such a vibe song, man. If you want a good dancey vibe song that's very modern metal, kind of more akin, I guess, to like Silent Planet's Antimatter, and that whole record that they did with the fucking aliens and shit like that. This is much more akin to that, but I think Architects kind of have their own lane with how they did this track particularly. And this is one of my favorites on the record. So this is the Reels Are Feels. Oh, fuck, that was backwards. This is the Feels Are Real song of the record. It's super sad. It does have a big chorus. You know, and like, I actually thought Everything Ends was kind of going to be the sad song. This is definitely the sad song. It's very emotional. Again, lyrically, it also kind of is a bit more captivating. And like, I got to give, again, credit to more so Sam and Jordan for really making the song kind of pop more. It's a soft song on the record. And I think with a lot of these modern metalcore records you're going to get nowadays, you're going to get that mixture of here's heavy, here's the middle, and then here's like the really, really soft kind of song. This is a fine track, but it's not anywhere like kind of a big standout. It was one of those which even when I was listening to absolutely wasted, we kind of went through and it was like, okay, like cool song, no big deal. Now, this is the song on the record that is, it's kind of like a band that wanted to sound a bit more like Architects, which is funny. Like they used the Doomsday riff in this. They have an Architects chorus. It's a good song. It's basically kind of a modern metal jukebox song. Seeing Red is, I think, a bit more of a jukebox actual track, where it's a bit more like stereotypical, like here's all the checklist things. This is just like, okay, a modern metalcore track. I think it's a solid, catchy track. It's an easy like playlist ad. However, when it comes to comparing this to like the rest of the tracks on the record, it's not as special. It's not as exciting to me. It's not as unique. It's just like a fine Architect song. And I'm like, cool. You only ever love me when you Seeing Red. Blah. Dude, Seeing Red, I'm so glad they dropped this first. Even though I know it's a bit of a like, you to basically all of the fans that want them to be heavy, which also, yo, like, guys, be relaxed. Like, Architects is a band, they're people, they have feelings. Like, be nice, r/metalcore. This is one of my favorite tracks, and it's simply because it's just the stereotypical modern metalcore track where they purposefully hit all of the stereotypical modern metalcore cliches when it comes to the sweeps, when it comes to the pinch harmonics, when it comes to the ting, when it comes to the bleh. You could tell that's what they were going for. It was fun talking to Sam about the song because that's 100% what he also mentioned. It's a fun Metal Things kind of track, and I'm happy with it. Now, I'm going to be real. When it comes to Sad Boy Architects, this is what I kind of wish all the other Sad Boy Architects sounded like, where it's a bit more emotional in terms of the production as well as Sam's vocal melody choices particularly. It just sounds a bit more natural. It sounds very pop. Like this is a very kind of like pop ender with a bit of like chunk here and there. However, it's a song that like emotionally I think actually hits a bit more. Cause like, look, I love me some all of that shit, but I also love me some feels. And out of all the tracks on the record, this is definitely like a feels are reals track. Like they've had a couple tracks on this record that are feels are reals, but this one actually I think hits the most, to be just completely blatant about it. If they were going to go with a feels or reals track, it would kind of almost just be this, because I think they aced it with this. It's feelsy, it's realsy, it has a bit of like chunky moments here and there. It's a good album closer. However, as just like a standalone track, like it's very nice. And it's, if you want like a nice feelsy song, it almost made me want to kind of tear up. And I think again, Sam's vocal melodies on this track as well as Jordan's production are the things that stand out, just like on the most of the record. With all of that, again, the sky, the earth, and all in between, Architects' brand new record. I would absolutely, as a fan that, you know, like I didn't get super into like Hollow Crown necessarily, or like the Dayseeker record. I got into them when All Our Gods came out. As a person that's a really big fan of All Our Gods, as well as particularly like Animals off the Astronaut album, and Holy Hell's a really good record. I think this album is a very solid, balanced Architects record. Like if you like Hollow Crown or maybe like Dayseeker record onwards, like to All Our Gods, I think you'll kind of get what you want. This is kind of a bit more of a mixture of everything, where you have a lot of very produced tracks, you have a lot of metalcore moments, you have a lot of doom riffs, which as a person that, you know, hey, I love Daddy Mick Gordon, you know, is I love all of them jaunty moments. It can get a little redundant at moments where it's like, you know, like I've heard that riff a million, like in the other songs, like I would like a different type of non-Daddy Mick Gordon riff at some point. The breakdown moments are very cool. Sam does, again, like the shining moments I think are Sam when it comes to his vocal melodies, when it comes to his screaming, when it comes to his, you know, he kind of just throws fucking gutturals whenever he wants, which is really funny. However, I got to give credit to the guitars, because there are very cool ambient leady moments in a few of these tracks that should not be underrepresented in any capacity. And yeah, like in terms of I don't want to use the word comeback record because I think it's a bit mean to say that, but I guess sure, in terms of comeback record after Symptoms, this is a great comeback record. I think this, honestly, if this was the record after the Astronaut record, I think people would be a lot more forgiving and welcoming with Architects and their kind of new sound of mixture of you know, the dooms, the modern metalcore, and the very pop production, with honestly the standouts on this record still being Brain Dead and Black Hole. I think those are the best tracks on the record. They are kind of the more aggressive, heavier tracks, but also Chandelier is a really, really nice album closer. So honestly, claps to Architects, you know, r/metalcore. Give them a little bit of a break. They've been through a lot, and I think this is a record that, you know, you could tell a lot of effort was put into, and they really fucking they put time into this, man. And I hope they keep expanding, and I hope they keep trying new stuff, you know, and maybe a little less of the doom riffs, is Daddy Mick Gordon riffs is all I would really kind of say, right? I love how Caleb's gonna watch this and be really confused when he's editing this for tomorrow. He's just gonna wake up and I'm gonna give him this video, and he has to make it like make sense.